Hello there. I am King Troy, and holy shit, holy shit. I can't believe it, but have you guys seen the Nintendo Direct yet? Oh my god, man. It was awesome. I can't believe that we're finally getting Dragon Quest 7 and Dragon Quest 8 on the Nintendo 3DS. I thought we would never get those games, man. Holy shit. Well, I'm going to do something special for you guys. I'm going to, oh yes, try, show you my collection. Alright? Okay. Well, first of all, let me tell you the history. The series takes place in not the history, a history of the series. Ah, God. Sorry, my brain is kind of weird out. Now, this is like the third take because the camera, I'm recording this from my phone. The camera over there is kind of dead originally, right now. Ugh. But, anyway, like, okay. And this series originally started off from the company called Enix before it fused with Square to become Square Enix. And some of the people there loved the game Wizardry. The other people loved Ultima, so they kind of want to make their own RPG game. And guess who they got to do the artwork? Do you guys like Dragon Ball Z? Yes, that guy. Akira Toriyama. Oh, I love this guy. Anyway, let me start off with the first game. Dragon Warrior. Or, as I'll refer to the series now, just Dragon Quest. This is the first game ever made. Originally came out in Japan in 1986. This was the first Japanese role-playing game. Yeah, like you play as the hero and you're trying to find the ball of light, and you have to also rescue the princess. And also fight the Dragon Lord. And I can tell you one thing about this game. I hope you like grinding, because that's the majority of the game for you. Oh, good God. But, I'm sorry if I sound negative, but honestly, if you have the chance to play it, it's cheap. It is cheap. Anyway, let's move on to Dragon Quest II. It came out back in 1987, and it actually came out in a few months before Final Fantasy 1. Anyway, like in this game, you actually play as the descendants of the hero of the first game. Well, the heroes don't really have names, so you have to name them yourself. Well, anyway, like the hero himself, like he's the only protagonist that doesn't use magic. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I mean, the only protagonist in the Dragon Quest series that doesn't use magic. And how about also the two other characters, the prince and the princess, which is your cleric and mage, respectively. Yeah. And the story of this game, you actually have to fight the evil guy called the evil priest called Hargon before he summons the villain and the god of destruction, Malroth. And in this game, you actually have to find five different crests before you can head to the final area. But yes, that's the majority of the game. And how to help you? Well, this is the first game in the series that gets you the ship. Yeah, yeah, but the game is huge. Was huge for the time. I believe. Yeah, another game that I recommend, and I actually recommend the entire series, but whatever. I'll leave the decision to you guys. Now, let's move on to Dragon Warrior and the Dragon Quest 3. This game uh, came out like is actually the prequel to the first two games. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, the prequel to the first two games, and you play as the person called the person who would become Edric, the great hero of the first two games. It's really like, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, like in this game, like you can actually choose which party members you want, and let's see. Oh yes, like of course the hero, his job class is always the hero. You can also get yourself a hold on, let me get something just to show you. A warrior, a fighter, a mage, a cleric, a dealer, which there's different job classes, man, and it's just a good game. That's all I could say to you. It's kind of hard to explain else. Just it is a very good game. I'm sorry if that one doesn't really entice you, but you just gotta take my word for it. Well, before I get ahead, let me talk about the remakes. Yes, there are actually remakes of the Dragon Quest games, and of the first three Dragon Quest games, and others, but I'll get to those later too. Well, this is Dragon Quest 1 and 2 on the Super Nintendo. Well, originally, this only came out in Japan, and this is an English translation. Highly recommend this, you know. Like, it uses the same engine as the Dragon Quest 5, as Dragon Quest 5 when it originally came out in Japan. It's very polished. It's very good, I can tell you. Except for a glitch, I believe it's only my copy or something where in this one town if you rest, basically it will crash. But I just believe it might be my copy. And let's not forget the Game Boy version. Yes, it's a black cartridge. And let's see. Oh yes, if you cannot get yourself a copy, either on the original Nintendo or the uh, or the Super Nintendo, pick this one up too. It's only like 20 or something bucks, I think, but highly recommended. Sorry if I keep on clearing my throat. I kind of have a tick. But now let's talk about Dragon Quest 3 on the Super Nintendo. Yes, yes. Well, anyway, like in this game, it's actually uses the Dragon Quest 6 engine, which to me is the best looking game on the Super Nintendo. And yes, of course, this is an English translation. Like I said, recommend it. This is also introduces the concept of this also has the thief in there too. Like that's your thing, But honestly, it's one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, I swear. It even has even has a remake on the Game Boy Advance, not Game Boy, Game Boy Color. Sorry, like I said, my head's kind of weird today, and kind of a washed down version of Dragon Quest 3, but out of the Super Nintendo version, but hey, if you can't really get yourself the original Nintendo version or the Super Nintendo version, this is the best third. Now let's get into the big stuff. When I mean big stuff, the thing I have in my hand is actually one of the rarest games on the Super Nintendo. Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior 4. Yes, I'm actually lucky to get this copy. Sure, I paid 75 bucks, but I do know it goes more. On this game, it actually sometimes has the subtitle of Chapters of the Chosen, which basically, each chapter you play as a different character until the fifth. Like, the first chapter you play as the warrior Ragnar, trying to rescue some children that have been kidnapped. Second chapter you play as the town boy princess Elena and her two servants, Boria, the mage, and Carol, which basically is the priest. And all she wants is just try to escape the castle just so she can live, just to explore the world at first. Not gonna spoil the rest there. Third chapter you play as Dornico, the merchant. Basically, his chapter is very easy, but he's just a happy, jolly fellow. He really just wants to run the best weapon shop in the land. Then there's the twins. Sure, I know they're older sister, younger sister, but if you look at their pictures, they're pretty much twins. And that's what everybody refers to them as. The characters I'm talking about is the fortune teller, Mina, and the dancer, Mara. They're trying to avenge their father's death. And, not going anywhere there too, but the fifth chapter is where you finally play as the hero. And you also can recruit the other party members that you played previous chapters, but kind of one gripe in this game. For when you finally get everybody together. Well, in the first few chapters, you can actually control your other party members, not just the person in the lead. In this game, the fifth chapter is pretty much like those games where you can only play as the protagonist and the other characters are all computer. It actually annoys me. But at least on the remake on the DS, at least, yes, oh, son of a bitch. At least on the remake, at least the remake on the DS, basically kind of cures that for you. It also uses the same graphical style as number 7, but I'll get that up later. Okay, Dragon Warrior 5, I do not own the Super Nintendo version. I'm sorry if you don't really can see this because it's just a cartridge. But this one has kind of one of the best stories in the series. You play as the protagonist from his youth to himself as a runaway slave to him being a king. And you can actually choose one of 3 women to actually be your wife. And it is spectacular, man. It is quite awesome. Well, a few games actually put a tear in my eye, man. And many people call this one of the best games ever, too. let's move on to Dragon Quest VI. Well, previously, before, until like, what's that game? Oh yes, Dragon Quest Heroes, which unfortunately I don't have. Um, let's see, oh yes. Until Dragon Quest Heroes, this was like the last game to come out here in the, of the Dragon Quest games to come out here in the States. And basically this game, you actually can switch between the dream world and the real world. Because pretty much the main village kind of screws stuff like that. You know? But I do recommend this game, but it's one of those games which is kind of like a, I kind of think it's kind of a niche title, but unless you're a real fan of Dragon Quest, maybe get it. Now we're moving on to the PlayStation 1. Dragon Quest 7. The first, one of the first games, like, this is the only version on the PlayStation 1. And it's kind of also kind of a, one of those maybe harder to find games, man. But, do you guys like time travel? Do you guys like long ass games? Well, hope you like this game because, like, it's hard to explain here, but first part of the game you actually have to go back in time and rescue these islands from their plights, you know. And the other part of the game is just trying to beat the demon lord. But they don't take my word for it. Don't just take my word for it. Try it yourself if you can. If before you want to try playing Dragon Quest, like what I'm trying to say here is, like, I'm sure that the 3DS version is a hell of a lot better, but if you just can't wait, try it. And oh yes, I even have the strategy guide. The strategy guide. I did not even know this thing existed, man. The strategy guide for this game. Oh god, was it a help. Okay, let's move on to one of the best games in the series. And I'm not exaggerating here, but Dragon Quest 8. I don't really have a case for it, so I'm gonna have this shitty case here. Like this is the game that almost everybody says is the most awesome game of the Dragon Quest series, man. Like to me, it's also even one of the best games on the PlayStation 2. I agree. It's even, like I said, it's one of the most beautiful games on it too. Like it introduces like so many things, man. It's just awesome. I'm sorry if I keep on saying not really doing shit like that, but whatever. Like I said, this is one of the best games on the PlayStation 2. If you ever could find a copy, play it. For the love of God, play Dragon Quest 8. And now, let's move on to Dragon Quest 9. What, son of... This is the game that actually introduced me to the series. Well, sure, Dragon Quest 1 was actually the first game I ever owned of the Dragon Quest game, but I didn't really beat it until recently. This one actually, you can actually customize your characters, man. And like I said, it's one of those games which I call an introductory game. If you want to try playing Dragon Quest game, if you're interested in playing Dragon Quest game without even playing the Dragon Quest game, pick up Dragon Quest 9 on Nintendo DS. And that's all the main series games I own. But let me talk about the Dragon Quest Monster series. I don't really have much to say with these because I don't really have that much experience. But do you like guys like Pokemon? And do you guys like breeding monsters and fighting them and whatever? Just play this. It even had 2 sequels on the again on the Game Boy Advance, not Game Boy Advance, on the Game Boy. So Dragon Quest Monsters 2. There's I think Tori's Journey and Kobe's Journey. I have Kobe's Journey. I cannot find Tori's Journey even though I want to. And this is the final game that I'll talk about. I haven't really played it much too, but this is the Japanese this is the game called like Dragon Quest Monsters Caravan Heart. Like it's a game that only came out in Japan, and I really want to get the English copy. Yes, there's an English translation there somewhere. Just need to find it. And I hope that whatever I'm talking about, hopefully my speech about the Dragon Quest games, hopefully that basically says like, maybe I should listen to King Troy, and maybe I should pick up a game or two, the Dragon Quest games. Maybe you play the 3DS games coming out. Well, I hope you do, mate. I hope my speech has basically made you love the series as much as I do. Yeah, my most favorite series of all time, man. And this is King Troy saying, I'm here to fight that dragon, baby.